ASMR Retro Forever. Hey guys, welcome back to ASMR Retro. Today I'm doing a video request by Jack. He's one of my patrons, and he requested that I review the movie Rush Hour. Thank you very much, Jack, for that request. I really appreciate it. And if anyone wants to do a similar request, if they want me to review a movie or play a game or do any kind of ASMR video, pretty much, check out my Patreon. The link will be in the description of this video. Okay, so yeah, Jack requested that I review Rush Hour. By the way, the game footage that you're gonna see throughout this video is from a game called Chan Stuntmaster for the PlayStation 1. I figured I have to show you something as I'm blabbing away. So yeah, Rush Hour is actually one of my favorite movies. It's one of those movies for me that anytime I'm flipping through the channels and I see it on TV, I have to watch it no matter what. It's just one of those kinds of movies, and it's like, my wife is in labor with my first child. I gotta bring her to the hospital. Okay, I'll wait. Hang on a second. Just wait till Rush Hour's finished, and then I'll drive you. It's like kind of like that, I'm exaggerating, of course, but anyway. So it's directed by Brett Ratner, written by LaManna and Jim Kouf. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Stars Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker. Released in 1998, and the tagline is, "Two cops, one is all talk, the other is all action." And what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, by the way, if it sounds like I'm reading, it's because I'm consulting my notes. So yeah, and I'm not 100% sure this might be Jackie Chan's first big American movie. I guess he might have been in, I think he was in some American movies before, but I don't know, maybe he wasn't the star, or it wasn't a big deal, I don't know, but this was like a big deal for him, and for Jackie Chan fans. Yeah, so it's a great buddy cop, comedy, action, martial arts type of movie. Very funny, very well done action. Chris Tucker plays Agent Carter, or I don't know, he's a cop anyway, LAPD cop. He's street smart, overly confident, arrogant, rude, but he gets the job done. So he's like one of those kind of stereotypical cop movie cops. He can easily manipulate people with his fast talking, his charm, and his confidence, but at the same time, if you know how to stroke his ego, you can pretty easily fool him too, you know what I mean? It's pretty easy to manipulate. Jackie Chan plays Detective Lee, who works for the Hong Kong police, I believe. He's more traditional, reserved, takes his job very seriously, great at martial arts, obviously, and has a high sense of honor. So basically they have to work together to find this girl that got kidnapped and take down the boss of this Chinese crime organization. The basic plot in one sentence. And at first they don't like each other, and they almost seem to be working against each other. But eventually they do bond, and they realize they have more in common than they thought. It's a lot of like Odd Couple type humor in the movie, culture clash, that kind of thing, and it works very well, because they have amazing chemistry together. So I'm not gonna do I wrote down like a very detailed plot summary. I don't think I'm gonna do that, but maybe if I have time, I'll go through some of it. But yeah, there's a lot of, in terms of the action, it's very fun, good martial arts by Jackie Chan, again, obviously. Now I have to admit, I haven't seen much of his older movies, his Chinese movies. I would see bits and pieces on TV, but I don't think I've sat down and watched one from beginning to end. But I've always been meaning to, so that's something on my bucket list. But from what I've heard, people say that the martial arts in this one is not as good as his older movies. I don't know if that's true, but it's kind of understandable, because it's not really a martial arts movie. It's a movie with martial arts in Western audiences won't be able to follow, if the action's too fast-paced or whatever, if there's too much martial arts in it or something, so maybe they toned it down a bit. I don't know. One thing I'm remembering, I don't know if it was for this one or the second one, there was a scene, that's probably the second one, I don't know. But anyways, Jackie Chan had to like jump out of the way of this truck, and the truck was like gonna try to ram him and it hits a wall or something, and Jackie Chan wanted to do the stunt for real. But the director was like, no, it's too dangerous, and he's like, no, we'll just put a crate, like a wooden crate there, and if, just in case, and if when the truck hits the wooden crate, it'll slow down a bit and give me more time to jump out of the way. But the director still said no anyway, so they shot it with like, I don't know if they used like more than one, camera angle, so they did it in a way that was actually safe. But when the truck hit the crate, Jackie Chan said the crate like disintegrated and it didn't slow down the truck at all. So if he actually did try to do the stunt the way he wanted, well, it wouldn't have ended well probably. But anyway, it's an interesting tidbit I heard somewhere. Where was I? There's some nice gunfight action too. Usually more of Chris Tucker's thing in the movie. But he does get into some fist fights too. And actually I find the best fight scenes is when, I think there's, the scenes where Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan are fighting like at the same time and they're kind of helping each other, doing moves in tandem kind of thing. I'll talk about that a bit later, I think. But action is spot on. In terms of the music, I didn't write down who did the music, but the music is good. It has a lot of that big, I don't know what you call it, but like Chinese style, big sounding, traditional, orchestrated music kind of thing. It's the best way I can explain it. And it's, although it's not really like memorable, like you're not going to be walking down the street and humming it to yourself, but it works very well for the music, or for the movie. And there's also good use of modern Western music, like hip-hop. There's some parts where there's like Michael Jackson-esque music. I think there's a Michael Jackson song in the movie. I can't remember what it is, but anyways. And most notably, War, What Is It Good For? I'm assuming that's what the song's called, but you know what I'm talking about, right? That's definitely a memorable tune, and it fits the way they use it in the movie is kind of the catalyst for Jackie Chan and Chris Tucker's characters to finally bond. I'll get into that later too if I remember. The comedy is, I think, the biggest strength of this movie, for me anyways. It's funny as hell. Chris Tucker is super funny and he carries most of the comedy in the movie, but I have to say Jackie Chan is pretty funny too. I know there's a lot of comedy in his older movies, or when I say older, I just mean movies that came out before this movie. But, it's, how do I say this, this being one of his first American movie, or maybe his first American movies, sometimes the comedy style doesn't translate over well, or whatever, but he definitely holds his own, and, it's pretty charming and funny. But I think, Chris Tucker, wins this category in terms of comedy. Jackie Chan obviously wins in the martial arts and the fighting and stuff. But most importantly, they have like really good chemistry together, which makes it funnier, whether they're taking jabs at each other, making fun of each other, or they're making fun of other people or whatever. They're very funny together. Perfect fit. And that's another interesting tidbit I just remembered is that I heard that Jackie Chan thought the movie was gonna fail and do terrible because I guess he didn't really get it. Again, it's the culture differences. What works in one country doesn't necessarily work in another. But obviously we know that it ended up being a huge success. Okay, now I'll talk about some of the moments. There's so many like classic and funny moments in the movie. I'll talk about some of my favorite ones. Right at the very beginning, or near the beginning, Jackie Chan was talking to that girl, the girl who eventually gets kidnapped, and I guess he was training her in martial arts or whatever, and he's like, oh, did you practice your kicks and eye gouges? Which I thought was hilarious because you can imagine this little girl practicing, gouging out people's eyes. I thought that was funny, especially because it wasn't in English, but you can see the translation at the bottom, somehow that made it funnier. And then, the girl doesn't want to. Okay, so this is the beginning of the movie where her dad, I keep saying Consul Han, has to come to America. He's moving to America with his daughter, and she doesn't want to leave. And Jackie Chan's like, "Don't worry, America's a very friendly place." So then you cut to the streets of LA, and Chris Tucker driving in his a Corvette, I think, yeah. And he's yelling at people in traffic, like, get your ass out of the way, or I can't remember what he says, but yeah. So that was a funny transition there, good transition. There's the part where, what happened? The part where he's Chris Tucker's undercover, and he's trying to buy the C4 explosives from a dealer, and something goes wrong. The dealer tries to escape in his car, and then Chris Tucker shoots at the car, and he hits the C4 and it blows up. And then he just stops and does like this little Michael Jackson style dance, and it plays like this Michael Jackson sounding beat. I don't know if it's actually Michael Jackson, but that was funny. Let's see. Oh yeah, and then this part's really funny. Chris Tucker's telling the story of it cuts to like him talking to his cop buddies and how he busted this C4 guy. And he's completely exaggerating the story. He's like, yeah, then 10 guys jumped out of the trunk and I had to kick all their asses. And he's like, it's probably in the paper. And he looks at the paper in his hand. He's like, nah, it's not in there, but whatever. That's just so funny how he exaggerates. And then he's talks so fast that people don't even have time to process what he's saying and realize he's bullshitting a lot of it. But and then there's one part I can't remember who he was talking to. I think it was his partner, not his partner, but that lady that works. She's like the bomb expert lady, and he's like, "This is the LAPD. We're the most hated cops in the world. My own mom is ashamed of me. Tells everyone I'm a drug dealer." That's funny. So yeah, he's saying that it's more honorable to be a drug dealer than a cop in LA. It's funny. What's this? Oh yeah, the scene where Chris Tucker is. Oh yeah, so the captain is trying to tell Chris Tucker, or he's telling Chris Tucker that he has the FBI wants him for a special case or whatever. But he's like, it's kind of BS, but it's a long story. But anyways, and by the way, this captain is played by I don't have his name in front of me, but he was the guy in Seinfeld who was the library detective, the bookman detective guy. And to my shock, and I'm happy about this, he's actually still alive. I thought he would be like long gone, but he was working up until 2020, so good for him. But anyways, this was a funny, quick back and forth dialogue between the captain and Chris Tucker. And hold on, I'm trying to find my spot in my notes here. Oh yeah, okay. So then, he tells Chris Tucker he has this job for the FBI, and then Chris Tucker's all happy, and he's like, "I'm gonna look after you when I get to the top. I'm gonna make you mayor." And the captain's like, "I'd rather you didn't." I found that was funny. If you watch the scene and their quick exchanges, that was really funny. Conclusion there, punchline, I guess. Then there's a whole thing where I didn't write it all out, but Jackie Chan. Oh yeah, once because at first Chris Tucker didn't think Jackie Chan could speak English because Jackie Chan wasn't saying anything, and then finally when he realized that he could talk English, he's like, "Oh, why were you BSing, whatever?" And then Jackie Chan does this like really quick spoken like little blurb or something like, it's just the end of it. It's like, "I let people talk because that's how I find out how full of shit they are." Just a really cool dialogue moment by Jackie Chan. I like that a lot. I'm not doing it justice, but if you watch that part, you'll know what I mean. Then there's that one-liner. It's like, Tucker's like, "Oh, I'm Michael Jackson and you're Tito." That was pretty funny. The part in the car where they still weren't getting along very well, and Jackie Chan puts the Beach Boys on the radio, and he's like, "This is great American music." No, Tucker's like, "What the hell is this?" He's like, "This is great American music." And he's like, "Never touch a black man's radio." And then he puts on some cool like hip-hop or something. The song's really cool. I don't know what it was, but then he like starts dancing while he's driving. That was a cool scene. Okay, what else? Oh yeah, so there's a part where I think they're chasing Sang. I think his name is the villain, not the main villain, but like the second top villain, I guess, with the blonde hair. and they're chasing him. There's like this wooden platform or something, and it breaks, and Chris Tucker and Jackie Chan fall through it, like down onto the street. And Tucker's like, I think I done broke my shit. I don't know if I should be swearing if YouTube's gonna have a problem with it, but anyways, he's like, why didn't you tell me about the bridge? He's like, I did. No, you didn't. I did. No, you did not. He said, I said stop. I don't understand what you be saying. And Jackie Chan's like, what? He's like, you see what I'm saying? So that was a hilarious exchange. You know, don't take my bad reading of this sway you, but that was great moment there. This is a really funny part I found when so Chris Tucker was trying to get into the prison so he could talk to the C4 guy to get some information, and it was like, you know, he wasn't allowed to go in. Like, he was talking to the prison guard to see if the guard would let him in, and the guard, you know, they know each other, and Chris Tucker was trying to convince the guard to let him in, and Chris Tucker's like, didn't I turn my back that time you bought that bag of weed? And then the guard's like, I was splitting it with you. And Chris Tucker's like, but didn't I give you the bigger half? That was damn hilarious. If you see the guard's reaction when he's like, I was splitting it with you. That was good stuff. That's like one of those moments that makes me laugh out loud. And then there is the war, what is it good for scene. I think this is when they're staking out the restaurant. And then they're just sitting in the car, and then the song comes on, War, what is it good for? And then Jackie Chan starts singing it, and then what happens? And then what's his name? Chris Tucker's like, what you know about war? It's like, everybody knows war. And then he's like, it isn't you all, it's y'all. He starts teaching him how to say y'all. And then they start like dancing on the street or whatever, or not on the street, but on the sidewalk. And then they start doing the martial arts. What is it? Oh no, Jackie Chan starts doing like martial arts moves instead of dancing. And then, he's showing Chris Tucker how to do it. And then they're doing the thing where they're trying to grab the gun from each other as like not seriously, just as practice or just for fun or whatever. So I guess that's the movie where they bonded, or the moment where they bonded, and I guess from there on out they were more, on the same page. I think that was also the scene where they talked about their fathers. I could be wrong, or maybe it was shortly before that. But anyways, great scene, probably the most memorable scene in the movie, I think. And then what's this? So then so this part was funny, or I thought was funny, but I think I may have been wrong anyways, I'll tell you what part it was, where Jackie Chan was on the plane and he had to go back to China, but Chris Tucker was trying to get him, to stay. So he dresses up like a mechanic and he goes on the plane and he's talking to the flight attendant and he's like, there's something wrong with the wing on the left side of the plane, or something wrong with the engine. He's like, the engine needs a new alternator. And that made me laugh out loud because I didn't think that plane engines had alternators. I thought that was just in cars or whatever. I don't even know what an alternator is, to be honest with you, but I thought that was the joke, and that, made me bust out laughing. But then I looked it up and it's like they do have alternators, so I'm like, oh, okay. But it's still funny, that whole exchange with the flight attendant using his fast talking and his confidence to manipulate and get what he wants. A good moment, good acting by Consul Han. Remember, he's the one Starr got kidnapped, but the FBI told him that, to pretend like nothing was wrong, and he had to do this big speech at this art expo. And while he's doing this speech, there's one part where he says something about children, like, we're preserving this for our children or something, and our children are the future or whatever. And he chokes up and he tears up. That was very well done. Made me choke up a little bit. But he did a good job overall, by the way, acting wise. You can really see he looked like stressed out, as anybody would be in this situation. So good job. I didn't check the actor's name, but he did a good job. And then near the end, that villain sang, the guy with the blonde hair, was interesting how near the end there at the art expo, and he had that machine gun. Is that Uzi? Or I don't know guns, but he had that like little handheld machine gun, and his hands start shaking, whatever, because he's nervous. And then like the main bad guy there was like, "Don't be nervous or relax," or whatever he said, which was interesting because throughout the movie Sang was usually pretty calm and like chill and whatever, but now all of a sudden he was nervous near the end. I don't know, I thought that was an interesting tell, so to speak. It's like finally showed some weakness. That was cool. Well done. And then there is a great scene where, what is this? Oh yeah, Jackie Chan's beating up all those guys at the expo, and then there's all this like ancient Chinese artwork and like sculptures and whatever that was, and they were like tipping off. They're about to tip over and break, but he would be like trying to hold them up and put them back up on their thing so they won't get damaged. And then finally, he beats up the last guy, and then the gunshot goes off, and then one of the things crumbles, one of the artwork crumbles. Like, oh, that was an awesome scene. So yeah, there's some of the memorable moments. There's so many moments. One more I can remember is when Chris Tucker gives Jackie Chan his police badge, and it shows like their picture or whatever, and he's like, "If there's any problem, just pretend you're me and say you're from LAPD." And then Jackie Chan looks at the picture of Chris Tucker, and it looks like the picture's from the 70s, and he has this huge like afro, and his smile, he looks so weird. It doesn't even look like Chris Tucker, but that's one of those moments that's pretty funny. So just wanted to get that last one in there. But anyways, this is an awesome movie, very funny. Maybe I didn't do it justice, but I highly recommend everybody watch it. It is a really good time. And yeah, that's about it. I want to thank Jack once again. He's one of my Super Broskis over on Patreon. Once again, if you want to make a similar request, go check out my Patreon in the description of this video. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.